Hey everybody, welcome to Tiny Table 3. We're here talking about Ghost Rider, the Ghost Rider introduction
Agents
into
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I mean, from what I see so far, I think this is a good move on ABC's part and Marvel's part. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has really, for me personally, and I think for other fans, has kind of been struggling the last few seasons. It started off fairly strong, and then the last two, they've tried to throw in little gimmicky things, like they tried to incorporate the Inhumans. They tried to incorporate some other, material from the comics, but they never really went there. They never really went for it. And I think Ghost Rider is kind of their first moment where they've actually tried to pull in something relatively large from the comic books.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been getting steadily more boring. It feels kind of like an exhaustive soap opera in a lot of ways. And I think the best thing about season 4 is Ghost Rider. And I
Oh yeah, for
think
sure.
it feels pretty authentic because if you read, because they chose to do the Robbie Reyes
Yes.
storyline.
Much different than the Johnny Blaze version.
Yeah, so we're not looking at the motorcycle. We got the hot rod.
Yeah, the Charger.
Yeah, and I think for the most part that was a good choice. I think what they've done with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is better than the comic book. If you read the comic book, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not the greatest.
It's got this like his brother is like the worst handicap stereotype you've ever seen in the comic book. But I thought the handling in the show was pretty well.
It fits well with what they're doing so far this season on the show.
Yeah.
With what little we've seen of Ghost Rider, we
Right.
get the sense of kind of why he's doing this, kind of a little bit of his inner struggle. And as little as we've seen him, he's already more developed than half of the characters on the show, or more.
Right.
Which is kind of sad.
And I think it's interesting because really, when it comes to especially introducing him into this universe, it's kind of the first time we've really seen a supernatural character from the Marvel universe in a show like this. And I think there are. I mean, if you know the sort of the different incarnations of Ghost Rider. I think they haven't really got into the background story of him at all. They've sort of hinted at it a tiny bit. The opening, if you watch the first episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it does start a lot like the comic book does.
It does.
With the car getting blown up in the air.
He takes down a bunch of guys, and you really get your first glimpse of, whoa, this is pretty intense.
Yeah. What do you think of how he looks?
I like it.
Yeah.
He has a cartoony vibe to him.
He definitely does, yeah.
This skull is not biologically accurate.
Right. It's got kind of like a heavy metal kind of feel
which
to it.
is also harkening back to the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look like the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. He has almost like a Dia de los Muertos feel to him. He's got kind of some angles in his chin bones and stuff. And I think that works. It makes him a little bit more menacing. A little bit more supernatural feeling. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. What I think is more interesting is that they're also introducing, if you've seen the first few episodes, the ghost storyline.
Yeah, they're kind of bringing in some supernatural elements.
Yeah, they're kind of hinting at possibly the introduction of Nick Fury's Howling Commandos, maybe, which is some people have been hinting at that's a possibility. Which again, you kind of get it because he goes into the complex. You see Ghost Rider arrive, destroys one of the ghosts.
He's able to vanquish the spirit or whatever we don't really know what's going on quite.
No,
it's still not really explained to us yet, but there's definitely a connection between Ghost Rider's powers and these spirits or ghosts.
Yeah, what do you think about following that storyline? Do you think they're gonna?
I think it's a possibility. With Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's always kind of up in the air where they're gonna take it. They will kind of spin you in one direction, and then all of a sudden they'll throw in a reference to some really obscure storyline in the comics that only hardcore fans really know about. Which is kind of one of my beefs with the show is they don't really treat it as much as like a generic comic book movie lovers show. It's kind of more throwing in these little obscure references a lot. And so I have friends who are really into the comics, really into the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, and just not, they love it. And I can't say that until Ghost Rider hit, I wasn't really a big fan, and now I'm kind of getting wrapped back into it.
Yeah, it's making me go back. I mean, we haven't seen like the use of the chain weapons yet, which I'm kind of...
Yeah, I do like that everything he touches lights, turns on
Right.
fire, a wrench or a carburetor or whatever he's got pulling from the car. He's,
what's the name of the actor that's playing?
Gabriel Luna.
Yeah, Gabriel Luna.
Pretty good actor.
Yeah, which me and Jeff were talking about this earlier, is that he's so good that he almost outshines some of the actors that are surrounding him, which is kind of a...
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has never been a great showcase for acting either, and that's kind of another issue altogether. But, characters are flat. Agent Coulson, his whole shtick was kind of being a flat character.
Right, yeah.
And kind of being almost robotic in a way, being Nick Fury's henchman. And then, in Avengers, we kind of saw a little bit more insight into who he was. And that's kind of developed in the show. But the rest of the characters are almost like how Coulson was in the beginning. They're just very flat, very robotic.
Right. Well, I'm happy to see this introduction. I think they've done a pretty good job with it.
I'm very happy with it.
I hope they don't drop the Howling Commando storyline because, there's some references to the book. Maybe they're referencing the book of Cagliostro, which would bring us right back into that the Howling universe storyline. So it would work. But it would be kind of pointless for them to introduce it then drop it.
Yeah.
So
hopefully they go somewhere good with it.
I was surprised because after last season, I was ready to let this show go. After watching the first couple episodes of this season, I hate to admit, but I'm in.
Yeah, I was scared up until I watched the first episode. I mean, they were announcing Ghost Rider, and I was still thinking, really, are they gonna ruin that too? And pleasantly surprised by how well they've portrayed him so far.
Yeah, and considering that we've had a pretty solid failure at the Ghost Rider story.
The Nick Cage Ghost Rider movies are, terrible.
They're
terrible representations of a pretty iconic Marvel character, and this one really kind of gets it right without giving away too much. So we still want to see more. Yeah, I think we're gonna get more. Hopefully,
I think so too.
And I hope I hope that they either keep him on the show or maybe he'll get a spinoff, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will die out, and we'll just have a Ghost Rider out of it. That'll be a good upside to
I'm
this.
totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. So, 2, 1. So, what would you rate the introduction of Ghost Rider into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I'm not gonna go as far as a 9 or a 10. I won't even probably go for an 8 yet. I'm gonna give him a 7. I'm happy with it. I still think that there's stuff that they need to get right. However, I don't think that they're doing a whole lot wrong yet either. They've shown us glimpses of him, and they've kind of given us the seeds of what could be a really, really cool character, a really cool overlapping story arc. So I'm gonna go 7.
Yeah, I'll go stronger.
Yeah.
I will go an 8. I mean, I don't think it's a home run by any stretch, but I think the acting is solid enough, and I think they're choosing sort of the slow burn as far as slow burn of the development of the character. So they haven't revealed too much, and I think because Quake, there is a corresponding subplot there. I think that works.
Yeah, that works.
So I'm okay with it, and I think it's at least at this point it's saving Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would agree. It's definitely what's kind of keeping that show glued together right now.
Absolutely. So that's our take on Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So far in season 4, and
so far so good.
Yeah, and hopefully
we'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll come back maybe mid-season and see if we still like it.
Check back for Tiny Table 3 articles. I'll go ahead and do some TV write-ups for all superhero shows. So if you want my opinion or the rest of the crew's opinion here, keep checking back.
And make sure that you're checking tinytable3.com for all our articles and the podcast. You can check us out on SoundCloud, on Hear This, on iTunes. Check all the socials, and we'll keep you guys up to date too.
And make sure you hit that subscribe.
Subscribe, guys. Please subscribe. Some of this shit's pretty funny. Seriously.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Front to back. Page to page. Front to back. Never read a many, not a single one in school, but I enjoyed good one. Yeah, I got a quick confession. It's gotta be made.